Well. I did not expect to be making this video. I was fully prepared to come and do a video talking about Carl McCauley from that Potter's Guide data analysis that we seem to be getting from Chelsea. And then we get the news from David Ornstein that West Ham have made another bid for John Duran. 57 million plus add-ons that is being reportedly rejected. And you just have to laugh at this point. You just have to laugh. Because now we're willing to spend 57 million pounds on John Duran. Where was this in the summer? Why couldn't we have put this signed a bid in the summer when he was more gettable, when he was given the cross dammers for us? Shout out to the chat. Bloody hell. I will be talking about Carl McCauley and what that means for West Ham and Tim Steidten, but we got to talk about this John Duran news. I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about it. Like, is this Sullivan doing the phantom bids? I don't know how I feel about phantom bids, but there has to be a reasoning behind this. Like, surely we don't genuinely believe that 57 million will do the job. It's reported that they want about 85 million pounds would get the job done. If we're not willing to spend anywhere near that, and I know you've got to negotiate, haggle, right? You come in lower and try to get, but obviously this is an asset they don't want to sell now. They will. I think he'll go. I don't think his future is destined for Aston Villa, but there are other clubs that are going to be interested. They're going to be interested. So look, we need to either really have faith that this deal can be done or move on. Because it's just getting old now. It's just getting old. And I just look at it and I just think, what are we doing in terms of our striker signings? What are we trying to do? The option was there in the summer. Could have just slapped down 50 mil, let it be done with. But no, we always have to go for the unattainable, don't we? You know, and I get what people are saying. He's not an 85 million pound player, Sam. I get what you're saying, and I think that's fair. But there's a talent there. There's definitely a talent there. He's young, and he can go on to do some big things. But what are we wasting our time? And a lot of what people have been saying, and I guess it's true to a degree, that we're sort of showing our hand, showing that we have money to spend. Now, this is being reported by David Ornstein. Now, our club's going to look at David Ornstein's report and determine, wow, West Ham are trying to spend 57 million on, so let's overcharge them for players. I don't know. Someone wants this to be out there. Someone wants this news out there. Whether it's Sullivan to show everyone, look, we're trying, we're ambitious, look, everyone. Whether it's Duran's agent saying, look, everyone, West Ham are bidding for us, you better come in. You know, that's the question. Who wants this information public? We don't know. I think Duran wants out of Villa. I do feel like he wants out of Villa. And like I said, I do think he'll go. It just seems like it's going to be a bit of a waste of time. And I just have to think, I don't trust Sullivan, but you have to wonder, you know, do we think that a deal can be done? Is there something that the public don't know that the club know that is encouraging them to continue to put these bids in? Because we had a bid earlier on in the transfer window in January for like 30 odd million or something. That not August, this window. So we've bid for him multiple times now, and we've gone back in. So look, let's see. I mean, if they bid again, then they're serious. Do you know what I mean? Or they're just wasting everyone's time. They know it's going to be another Carlos backer. One of those ones. I would love to get him. I would absolutely love to get him. But I feel like it's going to be a long shot, and we had our chance. Yeah, honestly. Yeah, I do feel like things are on the up overall, and like we'll talk about recruitment and things like that, and what we're doing behind the scenes, and hopefully Potter can get his people in. But the thing is with phantom bids, like you have to be, if you're making a phantom bid, right? And the phantom bid theory, for those who don't know, maybe non-West Ham fans might not know. I don't hear other clubs talk about phantom bids, but the phantom bid theory has been for a very long time that Sullivan makes bids that he knows will get rejected to be seen to be ambitious. Why is my camera not focusing? So he can be seen to be ambitious, and trying to sign players. That's always been the theory. And I'm not totally against it. The one thing for me is with some of these phantom bids is, what if it gets rejected? Now, someone had a good counter argument to that is, well, if it gets rejected, you just need to basically lowball when you come trying to agree terms with the player, you lowball the player, and then if that becomes public and you get a John Duran, and then it's they've accepted the phantom bid, and then you bottle the personal terms, and when it comes to the personal terms, you're offering John Duran 40 grand a week. Well, everyone's going to know. No one's going to sit there and be like, oh well, we tried. I don't know, man. It's very risky business if you're doing these phantom bids. I would love to know. Or is Sullivan just that delusional and he thinks that these prices could get people done? That's the thing. And now, like everyone said, we know there's money to spend. Remember, Sean Whetstone, Sullivan's personal ITK, reported that we had no money to spend. He does this every window. We've got nothing. All of a sudden, £57 million bid for John Duran rejected. So clearly there's some money there, which is good to know. It's good to know we've got some money there. But we don't want everyone else to know we've got some money there. That's the thing. And I don't know how these work. These things work. I'd love to know if clubs look at news, media, and things like that and go, "Oh, David Ornstein's reporting West Ham have been on £57 million for this player. They want, whoever from our club. Right, let's raise the prices up." That's what I would like to know. It's what goes through the minds of David Sullivan is anyone's guess. It's anyone's guess at this period. But look, if we get John Duran, I'll hold my hands up and I'll be very, very impressed with the ownership of David Sullivan. But is that going to be it now? Are we going to walk away? We should walk away if we're not prepared to slap down the big money, because we're just wasting our time. What I'm saying is, look, Graham Potter, they're going to get to Gareth in a minute. I've got something to say about a Gareth coming up in the show, believe me. But Graham Potter, reportedly wants us to go for Jonathan David and Angel Gomez. I would much rather try and get a pre-contract agreed with Jonathan David for the summer and try and get a loan in for now. If that's what we can do, get that contract agreed with Jonathan David, have our striker for next season, and just go with what we've got. Like I said, unless we can get a John Duran in now, there's no point. There's no point in wasting our time at all. It's just so frustrating the way Sullivan does business. And I'm hoping changes behind the scenes are on the horizon. I really do. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that we're still. Honestly, after the last bid, I thought that was it. I thought there's no chance. 57 million. Do you remember? It's kind of like when we bid for Calvin Phillips and Rafinha, 70 million each or something like that in the January transfer window for Leeds, and they were both rejected. We got Mark in the chat, who's a Leeds fan, who will probably remember that. We bid, I think it was about 70 million each, or 60 million for Phillips, 70 million for Rafinha in the January transfer window when Leeds were fighting for survival in a deal that probably would have seen them relegated. They were never going to agree to that. It was a lot of money, and they rejected it. Now, were we really willing to spend all that money on Rafinha and Phillips, or were those phantom bids? I mean, that's a lot of money to. I couldn't believe how much we were bidding on those two players. I wish we got Rafinha. I'm glad we didn't get Phillips. We ended up getting him on loan, but I'm glad we didn't get him on a permanent. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like I said, I think Duran's future is away from Aston Villa. I'm just not so sure, if it's going to be at West Ham. There seems to be I don't know if there's been some sort of indication from the player that he wants to come to West Ham. And look, like people saying, we've got no European football. Maybe there's something else to it. The London thing. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But he's probably not coming anytime soon. If Duran wants out of Villa, why has he just signed a new contract? That's a good question. I think it probably comes down to money. They probably got a massive boost. He probably wasn't on a lot of money before that new deal, and they've thrown probably a lot of money in front of his face. And for a young kid from Colombia, that's hard to turn down. Let's be real. They probably doubled or tripled his wages. If I have a look, John Duran wages. I mean, he's got to be on a massive upgrade. So he's currently on 75 grand a week. But apparently he was on before. No, that's 75 grand a week. So imagine what he was on before that. Let's see if we can find that out. Because that'll be interesting. Because I think that has a lot to do with it. Like, I want out. He clearly wanted out. I mean, he was giving it all that on the TikTok or whatever it was, on the Instagram. So look, let's just say probably not happening. But let's watch this. It's interesting all the same. PSG and Barca circling. Yep, they're going to be in for it. Maybe it is a agent talk, and it's a come get me to Barca and PSG. Like I said, he wants out of Villa for sure. 2023. So he was on 30 grand a week before. He was on 30 grand a week. Now he's on 75 grand a week. There you go. So the whisper was been 25 million for Vinicius Jr. That wouldn't surprise me. But listen, I have some optimism, as much optimism as you can have when David Sullivan owns your club, right? That's a good point. Barca are skin, Mark. Maybe we can get Rafinha now. Barca are skin. That might be a thing. We can finally get him. But it's things, like I said, can be looking up behind the scenes at West Ham. It's been reported that West Ham are about to agree. Just to answer this question, if Duran wants out of Villa, why sign a new deal? Because he's over doubled these wages. They've over doubled these wages. That's a hard thing to turn down. You know what I mean? So just because you sign a contract don't mean you have to stay at the club. Yes, things could be looking up behind the scenes. David Sullivan aside, because it looks like we're about to close in on the data guru from Chelsea, Kyle McCauley, the guy that has been with Graham Potter since Östersund's days in the Swedish league. And he's come with him through Östersund's up the ranks, and then Swansea, then Brighton, then followed him to Chelsea. They obviously sacked Potter and kept Kyle McCauley. Maybe that is a sign that, he's good at his job, because they could have just let him go. He was a Graham Potter guy. And Graham Potter is going to have a big involvement in transfers. That's what he said. And he's getting his people in. And this data element and analysis was a big part of the success that transformed Brighton. I mean, Tony Bloom had his data software that he used. That's obviously part of it. But you have people like Carl McCauley and Graham Potter as were big parts of that recruitment. So yeah, it's exciting that he's getting his people in. That's for sure. Coupled with that is that we're looking to get this new Amazon technology. I haven't fully looked into it, so I'm going to go into too much detail. But apparently, we're going to deal with Amazon to use some sort of data analysis software that they've developed, something like that. So more on that as that comes out. But yeah, it's looking promising. It's looking exciting. Now, a lot of people have wondered, what does this mean for Tim Steidten? What does it mean now that we're bringing in Carl McCauley to help get data and be part of recruitment, and you've got Graham Potter taking more of an active role in recruitment. A lot of people are thinking that this means this could spell the end of his time at West Ham, and this could be him out the door. Now, the way I look at it is, I view Tim Steidten's role different than other people. People can correct me if they've got more insight, but from my understanding, Tim Steidten is the technical director of West Ham, right? He's not the head of recruitment or the sporting director or anything like that. Mark Noble's the sporting director, which is funny enough. I guess their roles are probably more reversed, but he's more like the head of the academy development, Mark Noble. I don't know what they're just giving people these titles and not actually giving the jobs that match the titles. But Tim Steidten's the technical director. So I don't view his job as purely recruitment based, like he's the scout and he's the one just solely picking the players. The way I look at how his role should be going forward is he oversees this. He's the guy at the top. And that's right. Tim does get the deals over the line. Basically, I look at that role that Tim's doing as sort of like the CEO of the company. What was Ed Woodward's role at Man United? Sort of like that type, like you're in charge of the football operations of the club. And that includes hiring and firing coaches, managers, and just running those operations of the club behind the scenes and all of that process. And we need someone like that. We need someone that is, you have Brady that is in charge of the business side of things, business operations, things like that, sponsorships. Then you have someone like Tim Steidten who's in charge of the football operations. So I don't see how bringing in a data analyst and having Graham Potter having a say in identifying players, I don't believe that Tim Steidten's role just boils down to identifying players. Yeah, hit us with the thumbs up. If you're on Twitter, then you come over the YouTube and hit us with the thumbs up. Yeah, I don't look at his role like that. Like he's just the player, identifiement position. I've butchered that. He's running football operations. Someone needs to do that. We can't have Sullivan running the football operations of this club. It just can't happen. And there's been a lot of talk about Dan Ashworth coming in. And this is where I get into Gareth. Dan Ashworth, who has been the director of football at clubs, Brighton and Newcastle and then Man United. Anyone wants this man to replace Tim Steidten, I question your sanity, because Dan Ashworth, my gosh, he's red flags all over for Dan Ashworth. Red flags all over. He's reportedly the man behind the push to bring Gareth Southgate to Manchester United, which in their wisdom, Ineos rejected. Ineos did not want Gareth Southgate at Man United. This is the guy that we want to come and take over that role and run the football operations. Come on. He's not it. Like that. Look, he doesn't seem like a very loyal guy. He seems a bit of a mercenary, quick to leave. Like you kind of need someone. And people would say, I guess, have the doubts about Steidten, whether he's, committed or he's angling for a bigger move. Who knows? Who knows? Yes, D was a pain. He was a pain. I did a show. This is London. Go and check that out. And I lost it. I lost my rag. But yes, so Dan Ashworth, the way he left Newcastle wasn't great, and then the way he was just a massive flop at Man United. And Man United have all sorts of problems. It's not an easy job, but he seemed to be the guy that decided to give Ten Hag to keep Ten Hag when he couldn't get Gareth Southgate in the door. Then he wanted to keep Ten Hag. Then he ultimately ended up having to sack Ten Hag and get Amorim in, rather than just going for him in the summer. So, yeah, I don't know if Dan Ashworth is the answer, but we definitely need someone going to negotiate these deals. Wherever anyone thinks of Tim Steidten, he's got deals over the line. The players that we've wanted, he's got, right? Like, he got Kudus over the line. And people want to sit there and go, well, but he wasn't a Steidten signing. Whether you think he identified him and he scouted Kudus, he got that deal over the line, which was a very difficult deal to do. Now, Alvarez, whatever you think of Alvarez now, again, he was highly rated. Todibo, highly rated. Highly rated. So this is interesting. Dan, I feel Steidten not the man to find players. Leave that to data analysis to pinpoint the players. Then Steidten goes to look, and man goes over the play. Yeah, I think like it works together. We're not trying to be a little Tim Pot rinky dink club where you just have one man going, oh, I like this player. Like, we're trying to be a serious operation here. So you have a department, you have some scouts, you have the data analysis, you have Graham Potter, you have Tim Steidten, who is the boss. Basically, he's taking, like, we need Tim Steidten to have Sullivan's role. Also, all we need Sullivan for is the money, is to say, this is your budget. Now it's up to you guys to what you want to do with it. Steidten meets with Potter. Potter, right? What do we want to do? Like, what do you need? I need a striker. I need a centre back. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, yeah, we can do this. We've got the budget. I'm thinking we can proportion this on this and try and manage that. We need someone to oversee the football club, to oversee the top to bottom. Because if we ever have to sack Potter, and, hopefully we don't, there has to be a constant. There has to be someone that sacks Potter and brings in the next person and ensures that there's a smooth transition from Potter to the next person, right? And that is someone like a Steidten. We cannot have David Sullivan doing that. He's not qualified. He is not qualified to any of that. Where does Nobes come into it? I think Nobes is right now. It just seems like he's fully focused on the academy, Martin. Like, he's the head of that. He's running that. It seemed like he was going to be getting involved in scouting and things like that early on. He seems to have just transitioned, focusing on the academy right now. Let's see. My only concern is, will Sullivan allow Billy McCauley to do his job? Potter allow him to get the players? I think it's about Carl McCauley. He wants without interference because he can ill afford to do it again. Listen, we're always operating at a handicap with David Sullivan in charge of this football club. Always. Here comes the Palace fans. Look, highlight of their season, isn't it? When they get a little win over us. God bless them. Yeah, it's always, we're always going to be facing an uphill battle when Sullivan is concerned. So we always have to keep that in mind. But it's just one of those things. Why do you think Steidten wasn't liked by Moyes and J-Lo? I don't think it's a case of not being liked. I think he's the guy that is responsible for sacking these managers, right? He's the guy responsible for deciding, okay, we need a change. Now, he's not solely, it's a board decision. So when the manager gets wind that, okay, this guy is one of the names on the board, listen, bring the bands, is one of the names on the board that wants me gone, then there's a conflict there. That's why they've asked him to leave the training ground, because it's like, well, you're trying to replace me and you're coming here on the training ground. The players know that you're trying to replace me. There's a conflict there. It's purely, I don't think it's a personal dislike. It's a professional conflict there at the end of the day. We've all had situations like that at work where we clash with, a manager or a supervisor, things like that. We've all had it in the past. So I look at it like that. I don't look at him as if like Steidten's this bad person. He's just basically, I look at Steidten as Sullivan's scapegoat. That's what he is. He is David Sullivan's scapegoat. He's put in a position where he can take the blame. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. Before, it was the managers that were the scapegoats, because I remember you would hear it like when like say Bilic times or anything like that, like Pellegrini times, where like Sean Whetstone would put out stories like that Sullivan's told him to put out, that like Sullivan tried to get him to sign some players, but he didn't want to sign players. Yeah, all right. Yeah, we whatever you say, mate. And I remember Bilic come out. He's like, it's not that I didn't want players. I just didn't. I didn't want the players that he's offering me, and that's the problem. It's Sullivan. You either take my players that I'm completely unqualified to recommend, or you get nothing. And that's how it is. So Sullivan loves a scapegoat, and I think Steidten is his scapegoat. Now, I think that his days could be numbered at West Ham. Steidten. I don't think they should. And if they are, he needs replacing. But Peter mentioned, someone reminded me that Steidten's brother is the current data guy at West Ham. So I don't know if he's going to be working alongside Carl McCauley or he's being replaced by Carl McCauley. Because being replaced, if we replace his brother, then we know Steidten's not long for West Ham. We know that. I don't know if we're up in our bid for John Duran. I don't know. And this is completely bang on. We've always pulling in different directions. We need everyone pulling in the same direction. And that's the problem, because you have people like Graham Potter, like Carl McCauley, like Tim Steidten, that are trying to be a serious football club, trying to get this club operating like a proper football club. Then you have David Sullivan, who tries to operate it like one of these seedy sex shops. And that's why there's always going to be conflict. So, look, it's always going to dampen excitement when you remember Sullivan's in charge. But we have to try and, look beyond Sullivan and be happy that Potter's getting in his people. If we're behind Potter and we believe in him and he's going to do the best job he can do, we need to give him all the tools he has to do that. And then we can feel like, okay, he's had a fair crack at it. He's not being undermined. We've gone to apparently pay compensation. I don't know how much compensation we've paid to Chelsea. We've actually paid compensation for a data analysis. Wouldn't pay compensation for Ruben Amorim, right? A highly rated coach. And some people are pointing at Man United's current form as a way to knock Amorim and say, oh, look, people wanted Amorim. Man United are a mess. I think it's crazy to write off Amorim. I hope Amorim flops at Man United. I really do. But it's too early for us to make the judgment that he's a flop, in my opinion. Salthouse. It's Sullivan's favoured agents. I despise Will Salthouse. Will Salthouse, if you're watching, if anyone knows Will Salthouse, get this to him. I despise you with every fibre of my being. I want you to have nothing to do with my football club. You are a leech. You're a virus. Yeah. And I cannot stand you. And I hope you see this. He probably won't, but I really hope you see this. Stay away from my football club. So it probably, listen, nothing. It won't do nothing. He's not going to watch that and go, all right, Lawless. But it felt good to get it out. It felt good to get it out. I hate that man so much. so yeah, like the way I look at it, positives to be had. I have faith in Potter. Happy we're getting the data guy in, because we can start to really get deep. This is what I'm saying. Like, this agent bullshit, this Mickey Mouse porn baron bullshit that we're doing is not how you run a football club. It's not proper. And we've done that for years. This is how we've got crap players in that we end up being stuck with. But you do things properly. We get the data people in. We get people that know football on the top of that. And we start to look at things in a sensible way. Try to move forward and progress as a football club. Yeah? It's not 1993 anymore. It's not the 70s. Like, this was 2025. We need to up with the times and get on this. All this sports science, data analysis. Let's go with it. So that's what I'm hopeful for. A lot of people saying, like, we can get we're bidding all this money for 57 million. We should have the money to go and get a striker. I see we've got Colin in the chat. Listen, I wouldn't mind getting Mateta from Palace. I rate him. I rate Mateta. And Palace will think, I will never go to you. Mate, I think we could get Mateta. But yeah, when it comes down to it, I think that if we have to save the money for the summer, save the money for the summer. We do need, like, if we're going to have a real crack at trying to have a late run into Europe, signings would help. I do think it might be a bit beyond us, but if we've got to wait till the summer, we've got to wait till the summer. I'm very concerned about the centre-back issue. I'll be honest, because it's being reported that Todibo will be out for another 5 weeks, which is a very long time in football. Very long time. Now, somewhere in that, we've got a break, because of the FA Cup. So, yeah, he's going to miss a good few games. And we've seen that Mavropanos is not up to it. So all we have is 2 centre-backs. For a coach that likes to play 3 centre-backs, we've only got 2. If you're playing 3 centre-backs, you want 5 at least, like, really and truly. It's horrendous, the situation that we're in. And if Mavropanos cannot get his shit together, then it's going to be a real uphill battle, and we're going to have to hope we outscore teams once we have Somerville. Somerville could be back for Aston Villa, which is a huge boost. I don't want to rush him back, so if he's back, I hope that's him 100% healed. I really do, because we cannot afford to rush him back. We cannot afford to lose him for longer. So it's a boost if he is fully fit, and then Bowen could be another few weeks, but we need some cover at centre back badly. Todibo can't run; he's broken. I don't know. There's obviously some sort of fitness thing in there, right? But I'd have him over Mavropanos every day of the week. I saw a stat. Someone shared this, that we've kept 5 clean sheets this season, and Todibo played in every single one of those games where we got a clean sheet. There's something there, isn't it? There's got to be something to it. There's got to be something to it. And if we want a clean sheet, another clean sheet again, we need Todibo back. Oh, Mavropanos is out of the Villa game. Yes, that's a good point, Jace. Mavropanos is missing for Villa. So this is what I'm saying. So you lose Mavropanos, so we're going to have to play a youngster, Casey, and hopefully he can step up to it. So far, Orford and Skulls have done a good job when they've come on. But my gosh, we're going to have to play fullbacks at centre-back. We're going to have to play youngsters at centre-back. Wow. That's tough. So we need to get a move on. I'd like, maybe we could try and get Chalobah on loan. Obviously, they recalled him from Palace for a reason. But who knows? They might be willing to loan him out by the end if they get something else done. Or say by the end of the window, we give him a little bit more of a favourable loan deal, get Chalobah in. It's worth exploring. Yeah. Well, I'll play centre. Creswell play centre back to Mavropanos. He's got to come up with a solution. He really has. Debo going to be another corner. Look, we'll see. I'm going to give to Debo, like, with Potter back, because this is the thing. We don't know, like, if he's been injured the whole time or if he was kept out because of this supposed fight with Lopetegui. We just don't know. But yeah, we've been sort of cursed this season and really unlucky. Really unlucky. We've got a surprise guest in the house coming in. This is a nice surprise. Once he figures out how's it's going, I'll wait for him to add himself in. But yeah, Jean-Claude, here he is. Oh, it's not Friday night. Let me get. Yes, thanks for joining, Nick.
Hello.
Stuff's going down, my
I
friend.
see it. I see. Yes. I was just recording a video for my good friend James over on the other channel. I see he was live, so I thought I'd pop in and have a little chat with you.
Yes, yeah. We've just always been talking about John Duran's £57 million bid rejected. Some people are screaming phantom bid. Some people are obviously saying we're showing ourselves, showing our hand. What do you say?
I think that they know what they want, and I think that they're going in local. We've seen it with Lacazette. We've seen it with a couple of players in the past where they know what they want and they just bid underneath. Listen, we should have showed that hand at the beginning of the season. We should have gone all out to get that boy. You know, he's been in good form. He's been probably exactly what we needed in terms of what we got as a striker. And at the moment, we are very, very short. They know we're desperate. You know, if we'd have had a couple of options available, maybe they might have thought, they've just bought the guy in from Borussia Dortmund, so they might have thought, yeah, maybe we do. But they know where we are in terms of a lack of centre forward options. They would have seen that game on Saturday. Bear in mind, we play them this week. I don't think they're going to be too keen to do business before that game anyway. Listen, this might be.
I felt like we were saying this in the summer. Do you know how funny that is? Remember, we was all saying that. Oh, they won't sell him to us before we play him. That deja vu.
Yeah, and there is somebody just said in there, there is a feeling that Watkins may be coming towards the end of his tenure at Aston Villa, and he's 20, Watkins is nearer 30, so there's going to be feelings that maybe he's the future. Listen, it all comes down to Duran at the end of the day. Does he see himself? He obviously sees himself as a West Ham player because he was very willing to come here in the summer, and I think he would be one to spearhead. A new revolution in terms of the attack. I think if we'd have got him, I think it would have been a completely different season. It was. We're going in at the wrong time. We're trying to play poker with our cards already shown on the table, and it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to get it over the line. The fact is, it may revisit it at the end of the transfer window if no one else comes crawling. So if no one else comes up with that sort of money, it might be something we can revisit at the end of the transfer window. But I can't see anything happening today, Monday the 20th of January, in terms of, going out and getting Duran just in time to play Aston Villa. It would be crazy from them. Listen, it would show a bit of ambition from us. Is he worth more than 60 mil? I think he's got the assets to be certainly worth more. He's got the age on his side. He's got, and at the end of the day, they've got bent over a barrel in terms of needing a centre forward. So yes, that's the going rate for a striker like that, I'm afraid. Is he worth 60 mil? Probably not. Is he going to be a West Ham player for 60 mil? Possibly at the end of the transfer window, if he still wants to come. But listen, it's looking very, very unlikely. Maybe not a phantom bid, maybe just testing the waters, but I would expect someone a little less expensive to come in. That's for sure.
Yeah. Like, look, yeah. If it happens at all, I'm happy. I don't care when it happens. If we get him deadline day or whatever. But yeah, it's a long shot. Like I said earlier, I'll be happy if we can manage to agree a pre-contract with Jonathan David and know he is coming in the summer. Obviously, Potter wants him and Angel Gomez. If we can get that done, I'll be happy with that. It'll be cheaper. Well, it'll be free, with a prepare signing on bonus, I think that would be good business if we can get that done.
Yeah.
And just try and ride it out. I was also talking about, we've got Carl McCauley coming in, the data analyst from Chelsea, Potter's man since Osterson's. Been with him through every club he's gone to. Now he's coming to West Ham. What do you think? Good move?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he wants, isn't it? He wants data. He wants data. He wants things to work with. He's a very intelligent man, Potter. I was watching some videos about him and the way he works, and he's very data driven, and he goes by the stats. And I think, listen, that was a bad loss against Crystal Palace the other day, as we said in the post-match pint. But I liked what he said afterwards. He's learning, and he took a couple of positives from that. The Orford change, the Scholes change. He's not scared to go and have a look at what's going on in training rather than picking the name over the over the form. So yeah, listen, I was just saying this just now in a video I was doing. It's a very tough set of circumstances he's walked in on. It's probably the worst injury crisis we've had at the club for about 5-6 years in terms of centre forwards. Since the days of Andy Carroll. No fit forwards really at the moment. It was very evident the other day. So yeah, he's gonna. When he was asked what's going on, he's saying, "Oh look, we're trying to be active in the transfer market, but we may have options in the in the club already. We might have options in the lower league, but that data that they they use so evidently at Brighton, picked up a few gems out of their academies, and they're not. They're bringing people in for little money and then selling them on for big money. At Brighton, while he was in charge, and it's not by accident that happens over and over and over again at Brighton. So yes, I'm well in favour of that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's huge. People are talking about what it means for Steidten. I was speaking a little bit about that earlier. People are wondering, because obviously we've brought in, now we're bringing in another person involved in recruitment. Could Steidten's days be numbered? What does it mean for him?
I think Tim's having a bit of a tough time anyway. I think he's writing on the wall. Whether it's going to be, positive or negative, my feelings is he's going to be moving on by the end of the season, I would say. But that's not backed up by anything, but it's just the way things are going. I think a lot of blame's being pointed at certain things, and I think they like to play the blame game at West Ham. So, yes, if I was to guess, I would say he would be leaving.
I'll give you a quick summary of what I said earlier, because I want to get your thoughts on this. But, as Tim Steidten, he's a technical director, right? He's not head of recruitment. He's not chief scout. He's technical director. We need someone to be in charge of football operations at West Ham, because it's clear David Sullivan is not qualified for that position. So it's all well and good having the data analysis, having Potter have a hand in transfers and all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, you need someone at the top making the big football decisions, right? And those football decisions, obviously, in his role, have been hiring, firing coaches, in charge of, the identity and philosophy of the football club, and just other processes behind the football team, right? He's a technical director, so you're involved in other things behind the scenes of the football club. Brady's in charge of business operations. You'd have someone like a Steidten or what Ed Woodward was for Man United. So that's how I see his role. He's obviously been more involved in transfer. Just because we got these recruitment people in doesn't mean that Steidten has to go out. If Steidten does go out, we need someone to come in and replace him, because we need someone to run the football side of things, and that person cannot be David Sullivan.
No, absolutely not. If it was my choice, I wouldn't have him go. I think he's the perfect. I like the way he does his business. He does business with, he does business with purpose. He goes out there to get his man, and he doesn't leave until he's got him. And he's gone out and got some. Whether they've worked or not. We was hearing about Tadibo last night with. He's going to be a little while back with his calf strain, but Tadibo was highly touted around Europe. There was a lot of clubs after him. And he went out and he made sure he got that man, and he brought him back. He'd done the same with Kudus. He'd done the same with with
Alvarez.
Alvarez, yeah, he's done quite a few players. He went and made sure he got them. Max Kilman, he went and done that with, and he goes out there and he gets business done. I think what you're seeing at the moment with the Duran bids are I think that's Sullivan all over, going in.
Money.
I'll give you 40 million. I'll give you 50 million. And he knows what the price is, And I do think that clubs sometimes, when they see Sullivan coming, and I think this has been touted before, Sullivan, Brady, and all that, they don't like dealing with them. They're not easy people to deal with. We've seen emails that he sent when we was bidding for William Carvalho, and he pissed the Sporting Lisbon director off. Something chronic, with these sort of like empty threats. These threats as if we're, some superpower, and we can't. We can't be denied, and if you do deny us, we're going to go elsewhere and all that. Like they need our peanuts at the end of the day. It's and that's very much the way he does business. He does business like everyone's desperate to sell, and everyone needs to sell to him, and everyone needs to bow down to him, and there is no other options. At the end of the day, this is football. Football's a hard negotiating business. It is, but if you're not sort of taken serious in that world, emails with bad spelling in them, like very amateurish emails. You've seen them, Dan. I've seen them.
Yeah.
People don't like doing business like that. Business. When I was doing a bit of business myself back in the days, it's all about presentation, and now all about how you come across. And basically, it's a big load of bollocks, to be quite honest with you. Sales and purchasing and all of that sort of thing. It's a big load of nonsense, and you have to sort of like project yourself into a way that you look professional, that people want to deal with you. You have to read the situation and read, basically try and read what the cards are on the table without looking. It doesn't come across like that with Sullivan at times. And I think someone like Steidten, I think he does go out there and give that professional vibe. Yeah. He does go out there and say, right, this is a man that means business. This is a man that's not going to sort of like balk at our demands. This is a man that's, we want to sell to. And I think that's, the difference between him. Sullivan,
and he sells players on the project of West Ham. He sells players on what we're trying to do. And Kudus wasn't an easy deal to be done. Todibo wasn't an easy deal to be done. These were players that were linked with top clubs in Europe. So the thing that people are talking about now is the potential links of talk of Dan Ashworth coming in. Obviously worked with Graham Potter at Brighton. I've given my thoughts. What do you think about Dan Ashworth potentially replacing Steidten?
I don't know enough about Dan Ashworth. I'll be honest, I haven't looked into it. So
obviously he was at Newcastle. Then he had the issue with Newcastle. That's to be placed on gardening leave because he had that whole mess. And then he was at Man United. He wasn't there that long. He got sacked from Man United. Obviously, I think he was one of the ones in favour of keeping Ten Hag. So it's also been reported that he wanted to bring Gareth Southgate to Man United. So that's red flag all over for me.
Yeah. Someone is trying to sort of get involved in things they don't really know enough about, to be quite honest with you. But
if you think Gareth Southgate is the man for Man United,
didn't Dan Ashworth work with him at Brighton? Maybe, I don't know. Yeah,
he did. Yeah, he did. He worked with Graham Potter at Brighton, and then Newcastle, I think, snapped him up. I don't know if that was after. I think that might have been before Potter left. They snapped him up, and then Man United come and took him, and he wasn't even got to be in the job that long because he was in garden leave for a while. We started in the job. What are we going to do about Ten Hag? Oh, maybe why don't we replace him with Southgate? No. What are we going to do about Ten Hag? All right, let's keep him then. All right. And then, oh no, Ten Hag's crap. We shouldn't have kept him. You're out. Like that seems to be the story of how it played out.
I think that's the story of Man United at the moment. I was listening to the radio earlier and talking about Ruben Amorim, and people saying that they already want him out, and he's not adapting, and he's been very derogatory towards the
players,
the players today, and the club itself, saying it's the worst that they've ever had there. So listen, we'll have to see how it plays out, but Dan
Ashworth did work at England. I think Dan Ashworth was the guy that got Southgate into the job. I think he was one of the people that said yes to Southgate. So he's got some sort of link to Southgate. So if we get Ashworth in and we end up having to get rid of Potter, we know who he's going to want in the job. And I do not want Gareth Southgate anywhere near West Ham. Thank you very much. Thank you to Freddie, by the way, for $1 super chat. It was a pleasure to meet you too, mate. Hope you're well. And listen, at the end of the day, things are moving. We're trying to do something different. We're getting data, people. I'm just hoping we're moving in the right direction. We're just going to have to tough out this period of injuries and things. And a lot of teams are going through it. It's just not going to be pretty. But I'm hoping, Sullivan aside, because you can never get too excited when Sullivan's in charge, but I hope we're moving in the right direction as a football club.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, my missus is distracting me. I think we're going to have to come off now, but I'll leave you be. But I'll just need to come in and have a little say. But thanks for having me on. Yeah, no, thanks for coming on, mate. I think that's all the big stuff anyway. Like we said, we'll keep you all up to date. It's as it gets closer to the end of the window now, it's gonna be all sorts of crazy stories. But I tell you what, if we get John Duran, mate, I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to do something to, like, some sort of forfeit or something. I'll have a think, because that'd be immense. We'll have a look, but yeah, hopefully we do get it, mate. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I'll see you all later. Yeah, see you later, Nick. Cheers, mate. I think that's all of the big stories today. Teddy Sheringham. So yeah, to reiterate, John Duran, £57 million bid rejected. Obviously, we'll see if we go in for another bid. Kyle McCauley, welcome to West Ham. Data analysis, we're moving in the right direction behind the scenes, and it's good to see Potter. He seems like a serious guy. He's going to bring through the youngsters, get the academy actually building some value to it, bring back the Academy of Football, find some gems with this data and build. We'll see what that means for Tim Steidten. At the end of the day, At the end of the day, listen, I'm not a Steidten hater. I've been complimentary of Steidten, but I don't care as long as West Ham are doing well. So if he stays or goes, ultimately all I care is about West Ham. And smash the like button. And to Debo, that's bad news. So let's get some bloody transfers in, some loans, and try and have a good end to this season and get ourselves ready for Villa. So yeah, do check out This Is London, because I went head to head with D. My head was hot with the things he was saying on Top Man podcast. So do check that out. And don't forget, Friday we're going to be at the Hippodrome Casino, 7:45. Come see us there. It's gonna be a good one. I will put it's gonna be me, Lee Judges, Don Chelsea, Deji Spurs, D Palace, Dan Potts hosting. Like I said, 10 a drink. Scan the QR code, you can find it, and it's gonna be a great night. It'd be good to meet some of you all. And honestly, I'm gonna be coming out swinging at summer, not at you lot, at my fellow panelists. So yes. West Ham, hopefully we're moving in the right direction. Have faith in Graham Potter. I think he's going to be the man to take us where we need to go, in spite of what's his face, David Sullivan. So thank you all for watching, and one thing left to say, come on, you Irons.